Hello, my name is Joseph Hewitt, and I am the creator of the GearHead series, including the most recent game, GearHead Caramel, seen here in this video. I wanted to do a short video tutorial on the scenario editor, which is a new feature from version 0.7. It's an early alpha feature, let's say. It doesn't, it works. It can do a lot of stuff, but it's not very easy to use yet. And there are still a lot of things that need to be added to it. But I thought I'd do this short tutorial to show you how you can use the scenario editor to make your own scenarios for GearHead Caramel. Once you are finished the default adventures, Winter Mocha and Dead Zone Drifter, you can make your own or try some made by your friends. Anyway, enough talking, let's get to the stuff. Okay, enter the scenario editor. You can create a new scenario, or you can continue editing a scenario that you started making before. And right here we have the example scenario that I created along with the scenario editor. I was making both of them parallel, so called Plastic Island Panic. Let's just open that one up first. And as you can see, this is the component tree over here. And you can see it's a great big unsorted mess of components. It's kind of hard to read, it's kind of hard to see what's going on over here. And that's something that is going to need to be fixed in a future release. I'll talk about that a bit later in the video, probably. But, yeah, let's get out of this editor. Let's start a new scenario to show you what you might do if you wanted to edit one. Edit scenario, create new scenario. Okay, this brings up this lovely blank tree structure with only one part in it, which is the scenario called Adventure. Well, that's a dumb name for a scenario, so let's change that. Now it's Tutorial Adventure. That's a completely different name. You can enter your adventure description. This is what will show up in the scenario choice screen. You can set your date. The scenarios in the choice screen are sorted by date. Today is June 30th, so let's say that the year is NT 158, and we're going to make it June 30th, NT 158. Okay. Uname. This is one of the most important things that you need to set, I'm afraid. Even though it's buried down on the scenario screen. So yeah, a lot of the problems with this scenario editor right now are just interface problems. It doesn't really show you what you need. It doesn't hold your hand in any way. Uname is the unique name, or possibly the Unix name, for this adventure. It's going to be the name of your save files, and it's also going to be included in the name of all the adventure components. So it should be a different name than any other scenario that you have installed. So we want it to be a unique name. And it's going to be in the file name and the identifiers, so we want it to follow the Unix name conventions, so I call it uname. Anyway, let's just call the adventure is tutorial adventure. So let's say our uname is tutadv. That looks very Unix-like. Actually, for Unix, it would probably just be, like TA, but we don't need those implications today. No, thank you. The adventure threat, this is the renown value that your character is going to be expected to be at, that the scenario, that the missions and everything is going to be at. If you leave it at 0, everything in the adventure will be scaled to the player's level. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to leave this at 0. You don't need to set this value if you don't want to. Or you can set it. If you want to do a very, beginner level adventure, you can set it to like 10. If you want to do sort of a medium level adventure, set it to 30 or 40. If you want something that is going to kill the player character again and again and again, we can set it up to 80 or 90 or 100. I think 100 is the maximum. I'm not sure. I just programmed this game. I don't necessarily remember what everything does, but I think 100 is the maximum. It's the practical maximum. But let's just say 0 for now. Last one down here, adventure cover. You can give your adventure an image that will be shown on the adventure selection, the scenario selection screen. Let's see. The only covers available are the ones for the 3 adventures that I made: Dead Zone Drifter, Plastic Island Panic, and Winter Mocha. In the future, I will probably add some blank covers. Like, I'll take some mecha pictures that I've done and just format them for this and stick them there. And if you want to use that cover for your adventure, you can just load it into your graphics editor, stick some text on there, save it back out, put it in the your user file image folder, and it will be found by the editor and you can use it. The prefix for these adventure covers is VHS, because the images should be 270 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall, which is the exact aspect ratio of a VHS cassette. A lot of the things in this game, I am going back to my memories of the robot cartoons of the 70s and 80s, and just indulging that. So, yeah, all of the scenario covers have the same aspect ratio as a VHS cassette, which was how we watched our anime in the 80s and 90s, if we were lucky enough to find any. Or if you knew somebody who could get you some videotapes. It was a whole different world back then. Anyway, so yeah, that's what all of this stuff on the adventure configuration screen means. I am talking a lot today. That's okay. Up here we have some buttons. You can add a feature, you can remove a feature, you can save your scenario, which I'm going to do right now because always save your work. You can compile your scenario. This will transform it from this thing you're editing into a usable adventure scenario. We'll do that at the end. Or you can exit the editor, which by default will also save it. So you don't necessarily have to press the save button before pressing the exit button, but if you're paranoid like me, you probably will. Even though I programmed this and I know full well that exiting saves. Anyway, add feature. Let's add some features. Okay. Add feature, you can add anything that links off of a scenario, and part of the problem here is that it's all unsorted. For example, you can add features to the game world, like a new sub-faction, or a frozen combatant, which is an NPC who won't show up in any of the towns, but may show up in the missions, which is great if you want an arch enemy, but you don't want the player to be able to go and meet the arch enemy in between missions and chat with them outside of the missions. Although you can do that too. It's up to you. It's, as Bob Ross says, it's your world. New campaign variable. You can set campaign variables. These are variables that are accessible from anywhere in the campaign. Usually you can only access things from your parent, which only makes sense if you're a programmer. But anyway, we'll simplify all of this. We'll make an interface that will hide the confusing details. And down here, we have the standard LanceMate handler. This will add scripts to the adventure that handle LanceMates in the standard way, the same way that Dead Zone Drifter handles LanceMates. If you've played through the two standard scenarios, Dead Zone Drifter uses the standard LanceMate handler, whereas Winter Mocha does its own LanceMate handling. You can get one person to join your Lance, and after that, they're not going to leave until the adventure is over. Whereas in Dead Zone Drifter, you can recruit multiple LanceMates, you can tell them to leave the party, you can... All these standard things apply to all the LanceMates. Anyway, I'm going to add the standard LanceMate handler. LanceMate slots. How many LanceMates can the player have? You can change this number at will. I'm not going to change it. Now we go back to the tutorial adventure and we're going to add a city. Add a metro scene. Adds a metro scene to the adventure. This is generally a city scene that serves as the player's home base between adventures. Currently, you can only add one city to your scenario. That is an oversight on my part. Oops. But let's add a city anyway. Change your city name. Let's change from Mega Cormac to... there's no option to make a random city name, which is too bad. I should have done that, but I didn't. Let's change the city name from Mega Cormac to Mega Ulsan. There we go. Script name. This is going to be the name associated with this city and its resources in the Python script that is generated. I kind of think I want to get rid of this script name variable and just use the city name. Anyway, much like the uname back here, the script name should be unique, but it only needs to be unique within this adventure. So, for example, let's say that I wanted, instead of making up a new city, let's say I want to put this in. I was going to put it in Namok. Let's put it in Ujung, which is a city that is featured in Dead Zone Drifter. This script name only needs to be unique within the tutorial adventure. It will not, there will be no leakage. It will not accidentally access the Dead Zone Drifter Ujung stuff. It's just this. Hey, City Faction. Ujung is a member of the Terran Federation. You can set any faction as the leader of your city, including none. If we created a custom faction back here, there's an option to new subfaction. If we did that, then that subfaction would show up in this list. We'd be able to set our city to that subfaction. Lance Dev on is set to true. I kind of think this means that when you're in this city, the standard Lance Mate character development plots might get loaded. And the entrance name, this is the mission gate in Ujung. It was the Ujung City Gate. In the Dead Zone towns, it was the highway. The default name for it is just exit. Entrance description, where do you want to go? That will, let's just leave that, I don't know. Exploration music and combat music. You can change the music that will play when you enter the scene. If you just click there, brings up a list of songs. If you can press play. And it will play them for you. So you can see what they sound like before you commit to one of them. The stars look different. Let's leave that one. Finally, City Palette. This is kind of a new thing. The default city buildings all use custom colors, so a city will have a unified look. You can change these colors. It only comes up with a list like that. It's a list of all the colors you have. I'm just going to leave it like this. We'll have a gray, blue city with green details. Okay, sounds good. Anyway, we have a city now. We can add features to the city. Let's add a feature. You can add random civilians, random lance mates, a corporate custom shop, a new garage, a new general store, a new hospital scene, a new town hall scene. You can set this as the starting scene. You can add an effect that will take place the first time the player enters this city. Let's add a first time entry effect. So the first time the players step into this city, there will be an effect. We have to add more features to say what the effect is. Let's add an alert message. There's a bunch of different effects you can have. Let's add an alert message, and the message is going to be not blah blah blah. Let's say welcome. Welcome to the tutorial adventure, not scenario. Don't expect too much. There we go. That's a nice message. So the first time we enter the city, this message will pop up, and then it's gone. Never again. Another thing I would like to do with this city, add another feature. We want to make this the starting scene for the adventure. You have to stick this set starting scene. This block has to be set to some scene in your adventure. If you set it multiple times, that's bad, I guess. I don't know. What will happen? Well, only one of them will take effect, probably, I think. But anyway, set starting scene to here. Start with Lance Mate. True. If you want the player to start with one of their Lance Mates. Anyway, let's add a sub scene to this city. Let's add a garage, I guess. Add a garage. So the building name is going to be Tutorial Garage. I've got 2 T's. Oh well. There's an NPC, the mechanic in the garage. You can give them a name or leave it blank to give them a random name. Their role, the NPC role is it's just a note for yourself, so you can identify this NPC in other parts of the scenario. We don't use the NPC name to identify them because it can be blank, as you see right here. Again, you can set the music for the garage. You can set the sign above the door. There's not a lot of options yet. Let's set a rusty fix-it shop sign. I like that one. And the front door, let's leave the scrap iron door. There we go. And save it. Okay, so we have a garage. Let's add a feature. The features for the scene, the garage scene, and the features for the NPC, the mechanic, they both show up in this list. Ideally, we would want to look at both of them separately, but that's not how it happens right now. So let's add a dialogue. Add dialogue offer. So add something for the NPC to say during a conversation. Add dialogue if is a conditional dialogue offer for this NPC. So we're going to add a dialogue offer that will only show up one time. Let's go back to the scenario. Let's add a campaign variable. And the variable name is going to be has offered mission. So this is a variable. It starts with 0. This add dialogue if This dialogue offer, which is something that the NPC can say, only shows up if our campaign variable has offered mission equals 0. So once you've accepted the mission, this doesn't show up again. Context. I should probably explain a bit about how dialogue in GearHead works. You don't build a dialogue tree yourself. Instead, you give your non-player character, your NPC, a list of things that they might possibly say. So in this case, we're going to give this NPC a mission. The NPC describes a mission. And our dialogue text is going to be, go fight some robots. That's what you're here for, isn't it? There we go. That's award-winning dialogue right there. That's like Game of the Year stuff. Dialogue data, no data. Sometimes your dialogue offer is going to need some extra information for the procedural text generator to properly generate it. But in this case, we need nothing. Subject. You can use a subject to limit the dialogue generation. If you're talking about a given subject, you will only talk about that subject. So, for example, if we wanted to offer a mission and then give the player the chance to accept or reject the mission, we would probably want to give a subject, which usually is just a text description, so that the accept offer and the reject offer are only connected to this mission, if that makes sense. Which it does, but I'm not sure I explained it well. Save! Anyway, we now have something that the non-player character might say if the has offered mission variable equals 0. Let's add a dialogue effect. What happens when this dialogue is spoken? Well, the first thing that happens is that we set the... No, not... The NPC does not join the party. No, that's not what I wanted. The first thing that happens is we're going to set the campaign variable. You can click on this to choose one of the previously defined variables. Has offered mission is going to be set to 1. Or 12, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's not 0, that's okay. This music has a really high-pitched bit at the front. I don't really like that now that I'm listening to it over and over again. But you know what? I'm not going to record this tutorial twice. We're stuck with it, I'm afraid. You and me, both. So set the has offered mission to 0. Now you want to add another effect, but you can't add it right here. You have to go back to the dialogue effect and add an effect there, which is a bit confusing. Even I get confused by that sometimes, and I'm the one who did it. But again, that's an interface problem. We will try to solve the interface problems by making a better interface. Let's activate a mission. So here, this will set a mission at the mission gate. Name of the mission, let's just call this spurious mission. Objectives. your mission needs objectives. Let's add some objectives. Let's go and I don't know. Oh, that looks cool. Let's fight some dinosaurs for no good reason. Enemy faction is none because the dinosaurs don't care. Or maybe they do. These are Aegis Overlord Luna dinosaurs. These are dinosaurs from the moon sent to conquer Earth. Allied faction. We can set this because you get you get faction experience if you win the mission based upon what this allied faction is. So let's set that. Exploration music, combat music, let's leave that as defaults. Okay, so we now have a spurious mission added. We can add a feature to this. Add a win effect. Add an effect that will run if the player wins this mission. And what effect do we want? Let's add another alert message, which this time is just going to say you are the winner. There we go. Oh. You are the winner. And go back to the effect one because we want to add a second effect. And the last one is end the scenario. You win this one mission, scenario's over. There's no configuration for this. It just ends the scenario. So there, we have our minimal setup for one possible adventure. Let's save it, save the scenario, and let's compile it. Now when you compile the adventure, it comes up with a little message telling you you need to restart GearHead in order to load that scenario. This is a technical limitation. The scenario is actually imported as a module, a Python module, into the program space. And when I created the scenario generator, I didn't know offhand how to replace a module if it already exists in memory. So I just said, just restart. But there's probably a way to do that in Python. You can do anything in Python. So I'm going to look into that, and hopefully in the future you won't need to restart in order to test your scenario. But for right now, let's restart using the power of video editing. Okay, we are starting. I have restarted GearHead Caramel several times, in fact. Now, it's possible that when you use the scenario generator and exit and compile your scenario, it is possible that your scenario may crash. And if that happens, that is my fault. That has nothing to do with you. So don't feel bad or like you misunderstood something. No, that is my fault. I actually discovered a couple of new bugs while doing this. In particular, if you exit one of the editing menus by pressing escape without selecting an option, sometimes that will cause your file to use a value of false instead of a legal value for whatever you were editing, which you might not understand why that means if you're not into programming, but just accept it's my fault. not yours. Anyway, I'm gonna fix those, so don't worry. Start new campaign. Let's use the character Skarn. In the first 2 versions of this video, I told you all about this character's backstory. Basically, it's a character imported from GearHead 1, had the Argosaur, doesn't have the Argosaur now, because I haven't added the Argosaur to GearHead Caramel yet. Anyway, Skarn is going to play the tutorial adventure. Let's see. And there's the high-pitched music that I chose for the tutorial adventure. Anyway, welcome to the tutorial adventure. Don't expect too much. So here we have Skarn, who is starting with one of her lance mates, Chell 509, who was one of the robots that she created in GearHead 1. You can't currently build robot lance mates in GearHead Caramel, but everything is coming in good time. And here it is, the tutorial garage in the city colors that we set in the editor, or I guess that we didn't bother to change in the editor. Gonna go into the garage. And here is our mechanic. Hey! And there's an option here. Word is that you need a pilot for a mission. We gave the character the mission offer, so go fight some robots. That's what you're here for, isn't it? And new mission, spurious mission added to exit. Fantastic. And if we talk to Andrasal again, there is no mission offer now because we set that variable to make sure that the mission only gets offered once you've accepted the mission. It doesn't get offered again. Well, I must be off. Goodbye. I'm not going to bother to chat with him because look at this. It's a big empty scene. There's nothing else to say. Let's go to the exit down here. Where do you want to go? I want to go to the spurious mission. Spurious mission. Defeat the dinosaurs. Okay, let's go find... Wow, there's a big dinosaur over there. A megasaur, but I think we can take him. Yay. Oh, there's 3 megasaurs. Megosaur, not megasaur. Oh, there's 5. 6. Wow, that's slightly different than I was expecting. That's okay. Fight the Megosaur, named after the 7 Megosaurs. Obviously, the name is a reference to the famous toy company. Wow, my lance mate, Chell, is really getting surrounded by dinosaurs down there. I hope she does okay. Because if not, I'm gonna have to hurry up and... Whoa. Hurry up with the building new robot lance mates code, so we can... Oh dear. I'm sorry, Chell. I can rebuild you. Eventually, once I get that part added. Okay, so you fight your mission here with the 7. My Zero Psycho was wrecked beyond recovery. Failure, F-. And that brings us back to Ujang. And I just realized something, that the missions are calibrated for a full lance of 4 players. So I really should have added some extra lance mates to this scenario. But anyway, I did add a garage, so I can go back there and get a new mecha, or I can use one of my backups I had. I have this extra joust. which is probably not going to be very helpful now that I think about it. We're going to need something a bit heavier to deal with all those Megasaurs. And probably we're not going to want to run right into close combat with them. But there it is. You can see it's a mission. It works. You can build something like this on your own, maybe. And that's how the scenario editor works. That's all the time we have for right now. Thank you very much. And I hope you have enjoyed watching me flounder today. Bye-bye.